Hi, this is Ajmal the developer and welcome to HTML tutorial number 16 on HTML geolocation. So in this tutorial we will actually use a bit of HTML and some JavaScript as before because we need to write some methods and functions to be able to get the geolocation of a user. So before we go ahead and do that, I just want to emphasize on a few important points. So first one would be, like I said, it would be ideal to have basic knowledge of JavaScript. And second point is that HTML Geolocation API is used to get the geographical position of a user. And you might ask, what is API? So the easiest analogy would be to think of an API like a restaurant menu. The menu provides a list of dishes you can order along with a description of each dish. When you specify the menu items you want, the restaurant kitchen does the work and provides you with finished dishes, so you don't have to worry about how it's made or how they make it. So you don't really need to know that. Same thing applies to HTML API. So API stands for Application Programming Interface. So it means that some services are exposed through an interface that we can use in our HTML page to get things done easily, as opposed to knowing how they're done. So that would be the description of API. Aside from this, we can actually go ahead and start coding the HTML geolocation. So first thing first, we'll start with our regular boilerplate, and we're gonna, in the body section, we're gonna add our first p tag. So first p tag, and in between the p tag we're gonna write click the button to get your coordinates. So we're trying to get users coordinates. So in this case it would be my coordinates and location. And after this p tag we're gonna add a button, and we're actually gonna have to implement a behavior for this button. So the behavior or event would be on click equals get location method. Get location. So this is a method that gets the user's location, and the text for the button would be try it. And we're gonna have to add a p tag with an ID. ID, we're just gonna call it demo. And this would be all for our HTML, and most of the code would be done in JavaScript. So we're going to insert our script tag, and this is where we implement our functions and methods. So we're going to start with a variable. So we're going to call this variable x equals document dot get element by ID as usual. So we're referring to this element. We're just going to copy this. That's the best way to go. Element by ID, and we're gonna close that line of code. And next up would be a function. So function get location. Get location. So function get location. And we're gonna use an if condition here. If navigator dot geolocation navigator dot geolocation again dot get current position show position is what we're looking for. Show position. Else, I'm going to explain this in a bit. Else x dot inner HTML equals geolocation is not supported by this browser. So what we're doing in this function is that we are implementing an if condition. So in case if the browser doesn't support this this type of API, so that there's an error message here saying that this browser won't support this type of API. So first condition is basically instructing the browser to get the current condition of the user and show the position or the coordinates. If that condition runs successfully, then the condition would be implemented. If it doesn't, then this would be our error handling condition. If it doesn't, it would basically spit out this error message saying that this browser wouldn't support the API call. So that's the whole point of this condition. And that's that for the first function. So next function, we need to have two functions for this task. Next function, show position, is this show position here. Show position, we're gonna pass the position parameter. Position. Is that how you spell position? Position. Yeah, position. Again, x dot inner HTML. So we're basically getting the value of this variable with the HTML value of demo. So we're linking this function to our HTML, in other words, equals latitude plus, so we're concatenating, sorry. I will explain what that means in a bit. Position dot coords for coordinates, coords dot latitude again plus concatenation. We're gonna have a line break here. Longitude. So these are the coordinate parameters. longitude, again concatenation or plus, position dot chords again dot longitude. Okay, so that's that for function. Let me do a quick recap. So again, we're basically linking our function to the value of variable x, and we want this variable to get the latitude. This would be the code for latitude, so position, which is this function, dot coordinates, dot latitude. So we want to add the coordinates of this position and coordinates, so basically the latitude and the longitude of this this position to be assigned to the value of variable x. So whatever we have in between brackets would show us text, and plus the value of these basically these variables here. And you can see that in action once we run this on our browser. So that is actually all for our coding. So as you can see, we had a bit of HTML and some JavaScript. Actually, about 70% of our coding is done in JavaScript, and only 30% is done in HTML. But that is the only option to get our geolocation API. So that being said, let's go ahead and let's save this and go ahead and run this on our browser. So we're gonna do save and then run it on our Chrome. So as you can see, everything works fine, except for there is no space between click that button to get your coordinates, but that's not a big deal. And let's click on that button. If everything is right, we should get my coordinates of where I'm located right now. And obviously the browser wants to give your consent, so that's why we have this pop-up here. And there you go, these are our coordinates here. So the easiest way to find this out is you would copy this and then paste this in your Google Map to get the coordinates. So what I usually do is just highlight that and search for Google. And when you do search, it's best or it's necessary to delete these the word longitude, and then go to your maps. And again, for some reason it showed up here, so we're gonna delete that word actually, because we don't need the words. All we need is the coordinates. So voila, you see, this would be my location, so my home. And that's it. That's all we need to do to get the HTML geolocation. So we're gonna go back to our code and do some recap. So again, all we did was we created a button with a variable that attached the this button to this ID, and then we took advantage of two different functions to implement the HTML Geolocation API call. So that is all for this tutorial. I appreciate your time, and hopefully everyone has a good day. Bye now.